Hello, I hope I am audible now.
Yeah, now it's fine. Now it's fine.
Okay, fine. Okay. Thank you so much for your suggestions. Okay, now during this lockdown, we here at St. Joseph's College of Communication was determined to disseminate knowledge, and we have conducted a series of webinars. And this is our 8th webinar, and this is on data visualization. And we have our academic director, Reverend Father Nitin Joseph Elanjimatam, with us. And I welcome him to this webinar on behalf of all present here. And Father, over to you.
Good morning, one and all. Welcoming you all to the national webinar on data visualization organized by the St. Joseph's College of Communication. Let me introduce the college to you. St. Joseph's College in Kottayam district of Central Kerala is popularly known as the Media Village. Our college is the first university-affiliated college in South India dedicated exclusively for media studies. We have 5 postgraduate courses and 7 undergraduate courses here in media studies here. The different departments in the college have been organizing webinars on various trending topics of great interest, all of which had been having great response from across the country, and some of you were participants, just as dear Alvin sir said. Today, the Department of Journalism is organizing a seminar and workshop on data visualization. Some of you have attended a previous seminar on artificial intelligence in journalism. In journalism conducted last month by Dr. Shine, where he explained how artificial intelligence would write articles in near future. And last week we were astonished to hear that a bot wrote an article in The Guardian. This webinar is on another trending topic in journalism, the data visualization. I have subscribed to a particular application called Maxter. Hope many of you to have been subscribing to it. Just like our Netflix, Amazon Prime, it's another aggregator which gives us news. So it provides all major newspapers and top magazines from around the globe. When I flip through the newspapers, what I see every single day is that there are a number of data stories in almost every top newspapers. So I think your existence as a journalist demands data visualizing skills very much in our era, when every board, when even boards started writing stories. But many think that, you are incompetent. Many think that they are incompetent just because they do not know Python or coding skills to create beautiful data stories. If you think so, this webinar is for you. With this note, I declare that this webinar is formally inaugurated, and I welcome you all on behalf of our college.
Thank you, Father, for your wonderful words of welcome. Now, to enrich this session and to share the knowledge on data visualization, we have our resource person, Mr. Mithun Anthony, with us. He is a senior business analyst at Tata Consultancy Service. And he has completed his BTech in Electronics and Communication Engineering from Rajiv Gandhi Institute of Technology, Kottayam. And he has also completed his PG in data visualization with Texas University. He has been working with TCS for about 8 years now, and he's into the field of data analysis for about 4.5 years now. Now, on behalf of all present here, I welcome our resource person, Mr. Mithun Anthony, to share his knowledge and expertise with us. Welcome, sir. And over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Father Nitin. And thank you, Alvin, for the nice introduction. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
And my video is visible.
Yes.
Right?
Okay,
great. So I'll share my screen. I'll jump right into the topic. I see a lot of participants there in the list. So I'll jump right into the topic. I will share my screen. I'll flash the PPT.
Okay, sir, please. Are you able to share?
Give me a moment.
Okay.
Is it now?
Yes, it's visible.
It is, right?
Yes, the Excel sheet is visible.
Good. Now I have I've my PPT displayed. I hope it is visible now.
Yes, data visualization for journalism is visible, sir.
Great, thank you. So good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining in this session. So this is going to be a session about data visualization where you can learn some basics because as journalists, you don't want to be left behind in this whole data setup, okay? Because like what's been explained during the introduction, data is running a lot of stories now, and most of our stories are being read in mobile phones or on laptops or through Facebooks or social media. So it is very important to hold your audience, or hook your audience to your story. Writing a big essay may not be the way to go about it. Visualizing things so that somebody can get the idea at a glance is going to be very key. So as journalists, you have to learn data visualization to a certain level. You should be knowing how to work with data to a certain level, create some basic charts and stuff. Okay, that is my intention. Like it was explained earlier, I'm an engineering graduate. I'm an engineer by profession. So I come in the data visualization part. You guys are experts in the journalism part of it. I'm a journalist and I'm a story enthusiast. So as a business analyst with TCS, on a day-to-day basis, my primary duty is to pitch business ideas to our clients and to our senior management. And by clients, I mean people coming from various backgrounds. They're not necessarily technical people. They're technical. They can be non-technical. Their background could be different. They could be from banking or finance sector or retail, telecommunication. So we have a wide variety of audience to which I have to present some idea, pitch some idea. So the medium I choose is visuals, because visuals have got a universal nature. It is understood by anybody, okay, not regard of age or class or education background. Our human brain is by its nature hardwired to read visual information more effectively rather than data. So I'll start with an example. I use this app called InShots. So you might be also using it. I use this app regularly to get news feed. So it's a mobile app which pushes you all these aggregate stories from various news media and give it to you in 60 words. That's their story. One slide each. That is their business model. Okay, way of presenting things. So InShots have this fun feature where every day or every other day they will come up with data visualization about a certain story. Okay, a couple of days back there was a story about suicide rates in India. So this was based on a data published by National Crime Records Bureau. That is a publicly available data. So InShots have taken that data and converted that story into visuals. I'll tell you how those visuals look like to give you a gist of what we are talking about. Okay. So it is basically a slideshow. That is how they present ideas. So it starts with the percentage distribution of suicide cases across India, across various states of India. Then there is a chart showing the education background of the victims. So here they say only 3.7% of the total suicide victims were graduates or above. Only 3.7%, very small percentage is graduate and above. The rest all are from different educational backgrounds. There is a visualization about their social status or their marital status, comparison of male and female. Then something about age groups of different victims. And this is the total story. So in year 2019, there are 140,000 cases. It is a drastic increase from 2017. It is easily and evident, easily understandable from this visual. There is a sharp increase in the number of suicides in the last 2 years. And then there is another story about the profession of these suicide victims. This is one sample story which InShorts published. And if you're interested, you can follow them in Instagram and see there are a lot of visual stories they have presented there to get an idea what we are talking about. Because if you see this story which I have shown you right now, like I said, comes from a publicly available data published by National Crime Records Bureau. And this data looks like this. I hope you can see the Excel sheet. This is a huge Excel sheet containing almost 120 plus columns and 100 rows. It's a huge matrix of data. It's not humanly possible by any of your readers to go through this data and decipher that analysis, which I've shown earlier. That is your purpose. That is your primary purpose as a visualizer. I'll show another visualization, which is also trending, which is also from InShorts. This is slightly more interesting. This is basically a video about world's highest paid celebrities from 2010 to 2020. Down below, you can see the year, and on the top, you can see the people who appeared in the list. It's slightly interactive. You can see the changes. You can see the comparison. Okay. So when you see something like this on your screen, on your mobile screen, it is almost guaranteed that the user will be interested in seeing this thing, or at least taking a look rather than writing a big story in words. That is the power of visuals. So, and I want to tell you by the end of this seminar, I'll teach you how to create this visual. Okay, this is pretty simple. This is not very technical stuff, which requires a lot of coding and stuff. This is very simple and straightforward animation, which you can create. I will show one sample by the end of this webinar. Okay. So this is what I was talking about. Visualization is, in its essence, converting something like this in an Excel sheet or in a text file or a PDF file into visuals, which is easy to understand and slightly more attractive. That is the purpose of this whole story. Now we are going through a very tough time because of the COVID-19 situation. So every day you hear a lot of numbers thrown around. The number of infections, or the number of deaths, or the number of recoveries. And a lot of media houses or technology companies have come up with their COVID-19 tracker to show this information to users. So this, what you see on my screen, is one COVID-19 tracker built by Microsoft. This is Microsoft COVID-19 tracker, which shows a lot of statistics about the spread of disease, the number of deaths and all. Instead of showing data on a printed manner, they're showing an interactive visual, so the user will get the gist of what's happening around the world. This is an interactive dashboard showing cases across globe through a map. There are additional charts here. This is another interactive chart which shows the rise of cases, rise of number of cases in India. This is, as I said, is interactive. It shows the number of cases in each point as I scroll or hover my mouse over it. These are all all different type of visualizations used by Microsoft to give the idea of these cases to people. One good thing about this is, okay, earlier data was copyrighted or owned by large media houses. So people like a normal people or a freelance journalist didn't have access to data. This was a big problem. Earlier, 10 years back or 20 years back, even though you had the skills, even though you wanted to, you didn't have access to data. Now things have changed. Now the mode have changed. Everybody, technology companies, governments and organizations are making their data available publicly for free. So now you have got the data, which was very hard to get in earlier days. But the only challenge is you should be knowing how to convert this data into something like this, something more understandable. Okay. So our purpose is to do that. I'll also, during today's seminar, I will use one tool called Tableau to show you how you can create interactive charts like this. That is also simple, and that is also a drag and drop tool. No coding or no huge technical knowledge required to do something like this. Once you get the basic understanding, it will be easy to do. Okay. So our today's agenda, to just sum up what is going to happen in next 1.5 hours is, first we will understand the basic of visualization. Then we will take a story from a couple of weeks back and we'll work on it. I'll create some visualizations out of it. I'll create some stories out of it, and I'll explain how you can come up with new stories out of this data. Okay. Then I will introduce some basic charts to you, the very basic ones which you can utilize in your analysis. Then I can show some basic issues which you may face while you work with data. Okay. And at last, I will show you how to create that interactive chart using Tableau. And I'll also show how to create some interesting election-related charts. So there is a tool called Flourish, which you can use, which gives you charts like this. This is a parliament chart. You might have seen it in visual media, TV, everywhere, okay, where they represent the number of seats owned by each party in the parliament. So this is also an easy to create chart. I will show how to do it. So if you hover your mouse, it will show the name of the parliament, okay? And you have a comparison of years of the top. So in 2015, this was increased, 2017 and 18. This is also another very easy visualization. I'll also show this one, which we discussed earlier. It's called a bar chart race. So this is today's agenda. I hope what we discussed so far is clear. Then we can start with the topic. Okay. Any questions from anybody so far?
If you have any questions, you can just put it in the chat box, or you can unmute your mics and ask, please.
Yeah. I hope I'll continue. You can put your questions, if any, in the chat window. Okay. So yeah, I'll continue. This is the basic question we addressed in the beginning. Why to visualize something? So this is the data of COVID-19 cases, which was accessed from a public domain, with date, number of cases, country, etc. And it had around 4,000, 5,000 lines of data. So when you convert this data into something like this, it's easy to understand by anybody with a primary education. They can see that this is about COVID-19 daily cases in India. They can see in January, February, March, it was nearly 0. Then it started growing. And around July, it started exploding. And now it is increasing in an alarming rate. That is the power of visuals. So you have essentially converted something 4,000 lines of data into very simple line graph. That is the reason why we want to visualize something, because visual information is easy to understand. The tools which we are going to use, there are hundreds of tools available out there. I'm going to use some basic tools. One basic primary bread and butter of any data analyst is Excel sheet. Then we use PowerPoint. Then Tableau for interactive charts and doing some analysis. Then I'll use Flourish for that election data set. Okay. Okay. It's coming to the story. Recently, Forbes published their list of top 100 paid athletes. So Forbes published this list every year. Magazines like Fortune and Forbes publish these kind of lists every year. Rich businessmen, most influential people, and things like that. So I'm more interested in sports. I hope many of you are also interested in sports. So I thought I will take this list as an example for today's webinar. We'll take you through that list. We'll create some stories out of it. Okay. So this was the story published by Forbes. This is the list. World's highest paid athletes. They have a list of 100 athletes. This is publicly available data. Anybody can access it. We just have to cite the source. So it goes like this. It gives you the rank, gives the name of the athlete, the total earnings, and the total earnings is a sum of their endorsements, their earnings from advertisements, and their salary and their sport. Okay, this is a very simple data set which anybody can access. And I thought it is more relatable to many of you. When I read this, when I've seen this list, I had, naturally, I had the curiosity to see some information. I wanted to know who the top 10 athletes were or what sports they are playing. Then I was curious to know how many Indians are there in the list, naturally. I think that is an interesting information to any Indian. We want to know how many Indians are there in the list. Then you might want to know how many women are there in the list. How many women athletes are there in the list? Then you might want to know what sports have contributed most number of people into the list. So that is how you create stories out of a data like this. So it all starts with your curiosity to know things like that. So what I did was I have gone through this data set and I analyzed and I started visualizing it like this. So my first question was, who are the top 10 athletes? This is a small list. These are the crux of it, the top players. It contained Roger Federer on the top. You have a bar chart representing their income, total earnings in million US dollars. So Roger Federer is the number 1 and Carson Wentz is number 10. Roger Federer is earning almost twice as Carson Wentz number 10. You can easily identify it from the graph. It's almost twice as number 10. Then another information you can decipher from here is Roger Federer, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Lionel Messi, who are the top 3 sports, have got a very thin margin between them, very thin margin. Top sport is 106, second is 0.5, and third is 104. And additionally, I have given some more information that the top 10 athletes cumulative earning, the combined earning is 760 million US dollars. That's a massive amount, huge amount to be earned by just 10 people. So this is the story about top 10. Then I was curious about knowing how many Indians were in the list. So this is another story for you, actually, from that same data. So we found that Virat Kohli is the only Indian in the top 100, the top paid athletes list. Virat Kohli is on number 66, and his earnings were 2020 was just 26 million compared to, in Indian standards, it's a huge amount, but compared to the top athletes, it's almost 1/4. Another interesting fact which came out while I was analyzing the historic data is Virat Kohli is the only Indian present in the list for the last 4 years. So he's been in the list since 2017, and he's the only Indian athlete to be appearing in the list. So this is a progression of his earnings over the last 4 years. It's been steadily increasing, but no huge improvement. So he started off with 22 million, and now he's at 26 million US dollars. This is another story presented visually. Then the third question which I asked was, how many women athletes were there? So obviously many of your readers will be women and they'll be interested to know it. Many of your readers will be interested in women's rights and equality. So they might be interested in knowing such a story. Okay. So when we analyze the data, we will see that only 2% of the top 100 list are women. Out of 100, only 2 women appears in the list. On rank number 29, Naomi Osaka with an earning of 37 million. And on rank number 33, Serena Williams. So further, if you look down into the data, there are a lot of interesting insights or other stories you can come up with. One is both these women are from tennis. And tennis is the only sports where women and men have almost similar pay. Almost similar pay. It is the only sport in the world. In most other sports, almost all other sports, you have a huge difference in earning between women athletes and men athletes. Recently, just 1 week back, Brazil's women football team, national women football team, was in news because they announced that they are going to pay equal pay to men and women national teams. That made news because that is uncommon. Most of the countries or most of the sporting clubs doesn't follow that. So this is a pie chart which will give you an idea at glance that only 2% of women are on the list. Further drilling down, you will find more interesting stories out of that data. So I further drilled down and I found that Roger Federer, the tennis legend, is the only athlete to appear in the top 10 for past 10 years. So starting from 2011 till 2020, and in 2020, he have earned the top spot for the first time in his career. So he's been in the list, and this graph shows a progression of his earnings in the last decade. So in 2011, he was earning 47 million US dollars. And in 2020, it's more than double at 106.4 million US dollars. So this is another simple chart. Now we have created almost 5 stories out of a simple data set. That will show how that data looks like. So this is the data which I'm talking about. This is the data from Forbes. Now we have converted something that looks like this into that 5 or 6 interesting stories which can be presented to your user. That is the crux of it. Okay. Okay. I will come to that data set later after explaining the basic charts. Before we jump into any visualization, I'll tell you within the limited time, I have to move a little fast to present a lot of ideas to you. So you let me know if I'm going too fast. And if you have any queries, please feel free to stop me. So I'll quickly go to the basic charts. Once we learn the basic charts, I will teach you how to create all these visualizations, which I have shown now. These are all very basic charts in Excel and PowerPoint. Okay. So there are 3 basic charts I want you to learn, which contains almost 90% of all visualizations. Almost all visualizations are a kind of combination or different varieties of these three charts. One is bar chart, second is line chart, and third is pie chart. Okay, so some of you might already know these three. Just for the sake of it, for the sake of this webinar, I'll explain all these three. Okay, first is bar chart, which look like this. You're very familiar with this one. And the purpose of the bar chart is to picture an observation between the totals across several groups, total numbers across several groups. In this example, we are comparing the total earnings of 3 different people. Now you can compare salaries of 3 people, or you can compare the marks you received in different subjects, or you can compare the number of sports appearing in the top 100 list. Or you can do things like that using a bar chart. Bar chart have got different formats. So it comes up in different varieties, okay? But it essentially, in its core, it's basically a bar chart. So you might have seen this thing. This is also a bar chart, but it's just horizontal. Earlier it was vertical. Now this is another form of bar chart called clustered bar chart, where you want to show the information across categories for a different time period or different set of data. In this case, I've compared the salaries of these 3 people, the same thing, but for 2 different years, for 2020 and 2019. In such cases, we'll use clustered bar chart. I hope the bar chart is clear to you. I will move on to the next item. It is chart. Line chart is one of the most basic one. You might remember it from our school days, where we used to draw this chart in graph paper. So this was a notorious chart from our school days, but it is pretty simple. And its basic idea is to picture a trend over a period of time. So you have a period of time, like in the earlier example, we have to picture the salary of Roger Federer, the earnings of like 2011 to 2020. You will use a line graph. Or a common example from the world of finance, you will see the stock price of companies as a line chart. You might have noticed it in, you just Google the stock price of some company, it will come off a line chart. In this example, it is TCS, the company I work for. This is the stock price over the years. So it represents the growth of that stock over a period of time. A line chart will easily help you to identify a trend in the data. So in this case, you can see, even though there are some dips here and there, the company's stock price been steadily increasing over the last few years. That is how you identify trend using a line chart. Okay. The third type of chart is pie chart, which you have already seen, where we compared the number in the top 100 list. This is normally used to picture the percentage of distribution of something, the number of male and female, or the percentage contributed by each sports, or things like that, a percentage distribution. But one word of caution, pie chart is normally not suggested by many visualization experts because it is slightly difficult for our human brain to comprehend the size of a circle. These little slices in a circle is a little difficult for us to comprehend. And people tend to overuse this pie chart to a level like this. This is something I got from a media house, okay, from one of our news channels. This is their election results data. And the right side is slightly human, and the left side is insane. No human being can identify what's happening in the left side of this. This is a problem with pie chart. When you overuse it, don't do like this. If you are in a situation to do like this, what you can do is you represent your top parties and you combine all others into a single unit saying other parties. All these small people can be combined together. So in your pie chart, don't go beyond 3 or 4 divisions. Beyond that, it is very difficult to comprehend for any user. That's a word of caution about using pie chart. So this is the basic 3 basic charts which you learned about. If you don't have any questions, I will show how to create simple charts. So simple charts using your Excel. Okay. Yeah, I think it is fine. I'll move ahead. Look, many of you might not be very familiar with Excel sheet or working with Excel, but once you start visualizing, this tool is going to be your best friend, because there is no other tool which is so user friendly as Excel to go through the data, to arrange or clean the data. Okay. So I will show how to create. The Excel have got the capability of creating charts, chart data. I have a simple data here. I will show how to create a chart out of it. And this basic principles remain same for all chart types. Here I have a data of dates and number of cases for each of these date in India. So I have just 2 columns. It's a very simple data. I have the 1st of every month since beginning of this year, 1st of January till 1st of September, and the number of COVID cases reported in India during that period of time. So to create a chart out of it, since this is a trend over time, I will create a time chart out of it. So I'll go to Insert tab or the top. By default, Home tab will be selected. I'll go to Insert tab. Inside Insert tab, there will be charts listed. So I'll select a line chart out of it. Select one. When you select, it will come as a blank canvas. The reason is I haven't selected my data yet. Just inserted a chart. To select data, you either can select it from here or the top. It gives you an icon saying select data. Or you can right click on this chart and select the option select data. You will get a window like this where you'll be asked to enter the entries, the data to be published. In this case, the data to be published is number of cases. So I'll add a new one. I'll name the city site COVID cases in India, or COVID cases generally. Okay, that is the series name. Now I have to select the series values. I will remove this default value and I will select my required value. Okay, I will select, just click on it and drag. Once you release, you can see the line chart is already starting to appear. There is one problem though. Instead of dates, I'm getting some default values. So I have to correct my axis labels, these axis values. So click on OK. In this same window, you have a section for axis labels, horizontal axis labels. So you want the dates to appear here. I'll click on edit and I will select the date range. Click OK. And you have just prepared a line chart out of it. You see, you have a lot of options in Excel to change the color and design and everything. On the top to give you automatic suggestions. But basically, you have just created a chart, a line chart out of it. This is as simple as that. I created the Federer's earning line chart using the same method. I had a data like this, and I create a line chart out of the same thing. I will show one example of how to create a bar chart also. Bar chart is when you want to compare something between people, the earnings between people, or the number of items in each category, things like that. Doing so, I have a simple data set here. I have the salary of 4 people, which I want to represent. In the same way, I will go to Insert tab. I'll select a bar chart. I'll select a simple bar chart. By default, it will appear, okay? I will delete the data for it. And I'll show how it is done once more. I got a blank canvas. I select the data by right clicking. Here I will add the name, salary comparison, and I will select the series value by clicking and dragging. I got the numbers, but I haven't got the names. The access labels are not proper. I'll go to my access labels, edit, click and drag. It is as simple as that. Now, if you want to change the color, if you want to stylize things, all options are available. You can just click on it and change the field. Or you can add more effects out of it. But it is not as stylish as your Photoshop and things. This is for your basic analysis and basic charts which you can display. But I hope you have learned how to create bar chart and line chart out of it. If you have any doubts or if you want me to explain something more, I can do that. Hope it is fine.
There's no question in the chat box. So if you have any queries, please feel free to post it in the chat box.
Yeah.
Someone has raised the hand, I think.
Okay.
Okay. So if you have any questions, you can unmute your mic and ask yourself, or you can post it in the chat box. Okay. Timsa, I think you can continue.
Continue. Thank you. So this is concept of create out of that in Excel is clear to you. With this knowledge, I'll go to my Forbes data, which I talked about earlier, the story which we are working on today. This is your Forbes data. And you cannot work on it in this way. So you have to convert this data into something meaningful before you visualize. So working with data requires some steps. I'll explain what are the steps involved in working with data. The basic steps you have to go through is one is collecting data. Second is cleaning the data, which is the most important step of 3. And later you start analyzing. By collecting, I mean you get it from some public source, like from a government database or the data provided by a media house. Then you import it into your computer. In some cases, if you're doing a market research, you get the data through surveys you conduct. Okay, there is a census coming up in 2021. So the census data will be published by government, and you can do a lot of things from that data. That is going to be publicly available. So you can perform a lot of analysis over it. So you collect your data from your source, then you clean it, because there are common data issues relating to missing data, data corruption, or wrong format. So you perform your cleaning exercise, which is going to be the lengthiest process in your whole process, because cleaning data requires a lot of time. Ideally, when you start working with a data set, you take 2 to 3 hours. That is a very basic thing you have to do. Once you start working with something like this Forbes data, you spend 2 to 3 hours finding out the details about this data. Even though it is not visible in the first place, once you start going through it, you'll find interesting things, okay? Like in a Forbes data, which I have transformed to an Excel sheet. I hope it is visible, this Excel is visible to you. Since it is Excel, it is slightly difficult to understand.
It's clear, sir.
It's clear, right? Okay. So like in your Excel sheet, so if you start through the data, it is as same as what they had in their website. So this is a glorious version of an Excel sheet. Okay, it have picture, it have color, different type of fonts. What I have got in Excel is exactly the same thing in a boring way, in a dull way, that's all. But this gives you more flexibility in working with it. So ideally you have your rank as the first column, name of athlete, their gender, earnings and everything, okay. But when you scroll down, you will see some ranks are repeating. You think that is going to be a continuous series, but once you start familiarizing with the series, you will see there are ranks repeating again and again. Now you'll have to find out why it is happening. When we go through it, we'll find that these two people have the same earnings. So they've been assigned the same rank, 71. Since two people are having 71, Forbes decided nobody's going to have 72. Same way here. I'll uncheck this. Same way here. There are 4 people with the same salary, same earnings. So all 4 of these 4 athletes are having same rank as 52. And we are jumping from 52 to 56 directly. Things like this might not be visible at one glance. So you have to spend a couple of hours familiarizing your data before you do anything on it. Okay. Also in example, when I go to the notepad, it is easy to display. The earnings given by them is in millions. All these M represent million. Now, as somebody working with data, you have got this habit of replacing this M immediately, right? So let's avoid this repetitive word. We replace all M with blank. There is another problem once you start analyzing the data. That's not always million. There are earnings in K also. There are thousands. So just replacing data might put you in trouble. Information like this will only be evident once you spend some time. Okay. So if you want to represent the earlier data, you come to this data set. Couple of easy tips you want to use in Excel, you should be familiar with. One is insert, which I already talked about. You already know. Inside insert, you have the charts. One important tab you have to be familiar with is data. There is a tab called data, where you have options to filter things out and sort things out. They'll help you to filter things out. If you want to see how many female athletes are there, you go to filter, and you click on the drop down which appears near gender and you uncheck male. Now you know there are only 2 athletes who are female. Or if you want to know how many people are from cricket, you go to sports and you select cricket. So filter will be a very useful option which you want to learn. There are a lot of other options. You have options to sort in ascending, descending. You have option to delete duplicates, remove duplicates out of data and things like that. Or once you start familiarizing with Excel, you will learn all these simple things which will help you to come up with stories. Okay. Now, this is some basics about Excel to create stories. Okay. I will go back to the sheet. These are the basic steps as I explained: collecting, cleaning, and analyzing data using Excel, and you have learned how to create charts out of Excel. Now we have to talk about some common data issues. Like everything in the world, your data is not going to be perfect. Nobody is going to serve it to you in a perfect shape. So if you're getting something for free, there could be a lot of problems with it. So you have to be careful about these issues. One is about missing data. So you have 100 list of 100 people, and in that column number 77 might be missing. So what do you do about it? That is a basic question. So there is a lot of algorithms and lot of techniques to replace missing data. But it is very important as a journalist to you that you should not manipulate your data. For scientific purposes, for technology purposes, there are a lot of algorithms which can easily predict a missing data. So if you start reading about data analytics in Google and all, or YouTube, you'll see a lot of videos about algorithms to replace missing data. But as journalists, it's suggested you don't manipulate your data. If there is missing, something is missing, you go back to the source and try to get the correct data. Or if it is difficult to get the missing data, you avoid that. You avoid that record, not the entire file. You might have a file with 100 records, you avoid the file. No, you don't avoid the file, you avoid the record. That's how you treat with missing data. Then there can be outliers. Outliers are those data points which are highly out of place, which is freakishly out of place. For example, your data could be too large from the normal value or too low from the normal value. Representing them in a visualization will throw your chart completely off balance. I will give you an example how it may look like to give you an idea. Going back to our earlier example where we compared four. So these four people have salaries in the normal range of 50,000 or 34,000 or 17,000, etc. Now what I will do is I'll add Roger Federer's salary to it. Like I said, Roger Federer's salary for the last year was $106 million. 106 million is 106 and 6 zeros after it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now Federer has become an outlier in this data set. He's become an outlier. See what happens if I edit the data. And add a Federer to the list. Look what this person have done to our chart. Now his salary is so huge, so top of the hello.
Yes, we can hear. Okay. Okay.
I got dropped in between.
Okay.
I didn't realize.
That's
So I hope you were able to follow till this point about displaying an outlier.
We heard up to what this Roger's salary is doing with our charts.
Yeah, that's the point. Okay. So I have included his salary to this normal people's chart, and this person is now towering our complete list. Even though they are here, the other four people are here, they're not at all visible. This is what an outlier.
Nitin, would you please share your screen, please?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize. Just shared it.
Okay. Now it's clear.
Is it visible?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Yeah. So this is what an outlier can do to your data. So always be careful. You have a couple of things you can do creatively to avoid the situation. One is from our earlier example. I will show the suicide data set. This is from our suicide data set, okay, where they have represented the number of suicide in various age groups between male and female. So you have male and female numbers everything is in tens of thousands, like 10,000 or 20,000. But there are transgenders whose number is very low. Like I said, hello.
You may continue, please.
Was that somebody asking a question?
No, it's not asking a question.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll continue. So like I said, an outlier could be something very huge and very low. In this case, the number of transgenders is very low. I think somebody has to go on mute.
It's muted. It's muted.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So the number of transgenders in this list is very low, and that is an outlier to this list. What InShorts have done creatively is, instead of representing them inside the chart, they have created a small table down below and given the numbers separately. Otherwise, it is not possible to show them in the chart because their number is too low. So you can use creative techniques like this to represent an outlier, or you can just avoid that value from the list altogether. Because if it is hampering our whole data set, you can just avoid that outlier data and provide the rest of your normal data. Okay, so that is another data issue you may face. Then one issue is data corruption, which is commonly occurred if you get data sets, old data sets or data sets from government. Some of your data might be corrupted. Most viable option is avoid the corrupted data. If the percentage of corrupted data is huge, like 50% of your data is corrupted, then you better leave that data set. Don't represent it at all. It is not good to be used. If the amount of corruption for a huge data set is like just 5%, you have 1,000 records and out of those only 2 or 3 are corrupted, you can just avoid the corrupted 2 or 3 records and use the rest of the data set. That is something you can do. Then about formatting or inconsistency in data. You may notice in some data sets, commonly seen in gender fields. Okay, so if you notice, in the same column, they will represent somebody as female and somebody as women. Even though they are both the same thing, the data might miss this consistency. So if we are representing somebody as female, throughout the data set, they should be called by this name, female or women. You cannot mix it up. So that's when inconsistency comes. While you clean the data, you have to avoid these inconsistencies, otherwise your chart or visualization may go wrong. These are some common data issues which you will face once you start visualizing things. Okay, all this while we were talking about graphs, and visualization is not just about graphs. Okay, there are a lot of methods to display visualizations. One particular example I remember from my school days is when our textbook had a statement like a blue whale weighs between 180 to 200 tons. As a small kid who is studying in 4th or 5th standard, I had no clue how big is 180 tons or how big is 200 tons. So the same textbook had a small visualization similar to this, which showed that a blue whale can be as equivalent as 36 elephants. That was a very effective way that textbook presented that idea, because as a small kid, I knew how big is an elephant. And if something is as big as or as huge as 36 elephants, that is humongous animal. That's how that idea was presented. So it's not just about bar graph or line graph or pie charts. You can represent your things creatively like this. In another example, which was famous in recent days, there was a campaign about sugar content in colas. So the statement was 350 ml can of Coca-Cola contains 39 grams of sugar. You might not know what quantity is 39 grams. Instead of that, you can show an image like this, where it is represented that a cola is equivalent to, a can of cola is equivalent to 10 cubes of sugar. So normally we use just 2 or 3 cubes of sugar to sweeten our tea or coffee. A single can contain 10 cubes. That will give an idea to your user how much sugar you are intaking. This is another creative visualization. Another one, which was very viral in recent years, is about traffic jam caused by individual vehicles. This is a picture of same number of people that can be contained in a bus and same number of people if they are using individual cars. The traffic congestion used because of individual vehicles is huge. This visualization helped to represent that, and just one picture instead of writing a whole essay about it. Okay. Talking of creative visualizations, this data journalist, her name is Mona Chalabi. She's have done a tremendous work in the field of data visualization, and she's basically an artist, and she's working for global media houses like The Guardian and other major global heavyweights. Okay, so she has got this Instagram account. It's really interesting, where she artistically present things, not in your normal way of things. I will show a couple of samples. So if somebody from you is interested in arts, now want to do creative visualizations, you can take a look at her Instagram. This is one story I was really interested in. She says, if New York City were just 100 people, 14 of them would be more than 65 years of age. 11 of them would have a disability. 68 people would be people of color. We associate New York as a white-dominated place. There is a common perception, but 68% of people are people of color, either black or brown or Hispanic. And 37% would be immigrants from other countries. 19%, almost nearly 20%, live in poverty. There is another common perception that New York is a very rich city. This proves that is wrong. And only 10% of them have an annual income more than 105K US dollars, like pretty much rich people. So this is a nutshell of what New York City is. And I think she has presented in a very creative way. Instead of using charts and graphs, this is much more interactive. So you can utilize tools like this. I'll show another example from Mona Chalabi's Instagram page, where she represented the inequality faced by disabled people. So this represents the inequality in employment by race and disability. So on the top, you have a normal person, physically able, and white by race is having 80% of chance getting employed. In the same case, somebody who is Asian by race and having a disability have just 40% of chance. You have a black person have nearly only 25% of getting employed, and Native Americans have just nearly 20% of chance getting employed if they are with a disability. In the same topic, she have represented what can happen, the inequality in different countries. And this is their annual income, if they have comparison of annual income, if they're having a disability. If you're a normal person, you're earning around 50K US dollars. We have a hearing impairment, you're almost equal, but with visual impairments, you earn less than 10, you earn 10,000 K less. If you notice, this is basically a bar chart itself. It's a horizontal bar chart, but the way she decided to represent it is different. So in her Instagram and her videos, what she explains is, what her process is, first she will visualize data in Excel or similar tools, come up with the basic normal charts, and later she will draw things out of that data. She will creatively visualize them instead of using the standard charts. This is an interesting way of representing things. Maybe you can also think about it. You can go and check her profile out. Okay. We can move on to the next section if it is okay for you guys.
Yes, sir. Please.
Yeah. Okay. I know I'm moving a little fast. There are a lot of ideas being shared, but still, if you have any doubts, we can reserve some time at the end of the seminar, okay, for you to ask. Another thing, another major thing we want to discuss is visualization as a tool for exploration. So visualization is not just for printing ideas. It's not like you work on an Excel sheet or you work on a notepad and you create charts and just print it out. It is a great tool to identify patterns out of data. So you have a huge data set. Working with Excel can also be a slightly difficult task. So in such cases, you can go for visual tools which can help you to identify stories out of it. I will show a sample of how you can utilize visualization as a tool for finding out stories through Tableau. Like I said, there is a tool called Tableau. It's basically a business intelligence tool. It's a business intelligence tool. Here over the top, you can see the name of it, Tableau Public. This is a publicly available free version. You can download it directly from Tableau's official website and install it in your computer. The fun thing about it is it's completely drag and drop. There is no much technical knowledge required for it. Just a basic understanding of data and basic understanding of charts you want. Tableau is really good documented. There are a lot of official videos and official documentations available. And also there are tons and tons of tutorial videos available, good quality tutorial videos available in YouTube. That is freely accessible for you. Okay. So this is the homepage of Tableau. What I'll show you is how to work with a known data set in Tableau and create stories out of it, interactive dashboards out of it. First, you will have to go to data. I'll add a new data. It will allow you to add Excel, TXT files, JSON, PDF, even though I don't suggest PDF. Excel and text could be your normal files you could add. It can also work with online data sheets like Google Sheets. So if your data is updated, your graph will change in real time. Okay. So I will add an Excel sheet of our same data set of Forbes top 100 paid athletes. So the data is added. Once the data is added, this application will give you a preview so that you can make sure the correct data set is populated. Okay, I see it is correct. Then you can go to the sheet down below. You can go to the worksheet. Where all the data points, all the columns in that Excel sheet will be displayed in two sections. You can see gender, name, rank, sports type displayed. Then you have the endorsement amount, salary winnings, total earnings, everything displayed. Like I said, these are all drag and drop. If you are interested in seeing the list of athletes, their name and their earnings directly, you click on their name, you drag and drop. You drag and drop it into columns, you'll see the names appearing, and you drag and drop your total earnings to the rows. Your visual is created already. So this is the whole 100 people. This is slightly difficult to understand. So if I want to see it in a horizontal way, I have an easy option on the top to switch between rows and columns. So now it is slightly more readable because our brain can read horizontal information much better. So we read from left to right. So I always prefer a horizontal chart, which is easy to read. Now, this is the list in alphabetic order. This is the list in alphabetic order, but I want to see the list in ascending or descending order of earnings. If I want to see the top 100 in descending order, we have options to easily sort it here. So I go with descending order. It quickly converts the chart into descending. And this is interactive. If you hover your mouse over it, you'll see the name of the player and the earnings. Okay. So you have just converted it to the top 100 list. And you click on other sheet. This is your top 100 list. You can analyze everything you want. If you want to add data labels here, you have a quick option or the top here, which represent you can add a text label. Clicking on that, you will get the earnings beside your bar. It'll make things easier for you to analyze. You can quickly change the sheet name, top 100 paid athletes. You can change the colors, or in the color tab, you can drag and drop something to see, to compare gender. So you drag and drop gender to the color, and now all your male athletes are colored in orange and all your female athletes are colored in blue. So while dragging down, it's easy for you to see and understand that there are very few female athletes, and specifically just 2 of them. If you want to see, instead of gender, if you want to compare their sports type or sports, drag and drop sports to the color, and each sport will be assigned a color. Like American football will appear in blue, and auto racing in different color, football in different color. It'll make your analysis much more easier. Moving on to further analysis, it will give you option to add as much worksheets as possible. So I'm adding another worksheet to do a different comparison. Now I want to see, like earlier, I want to see gender comparison. So I drag gender and I drag the number of records. So I'll see that female is just 2 and male is 98. For the ease of use, I will add text so the numbers are also displayed. Now I feel like bar chart is not the way to go. I want a different chart. Then inside marks, I can select a circle, or I can select a pie to go with it. Another interesting thing about it is if you want to get recommendations from Tableau about it. So go with the bar. Tableau will show you all the recommended charts or the top. So you click on it. It will enable all the charts that can be applicable to this data. So my bar charts are enabled, area chart is enabled, then there is a pie chart enabled. I select the pie chart. I'll get the same chart as I had shown you earlier. With the text, it will appear like this. Moving on to another sheet, I want to do a different analysis. I want to see the comparison of sports, which sports appeared more. So drag the sports and drag the number of records. It will show me the number of numbers contributed by each sports in the top 100 list. Now I will make it descending, I will make it horizontal, and I will add some text. Now you can see there are 35 basketball players, 31 American football players, and soccer is 14. These three sports contribute most of the players in top 100. We have only one person from cricket, and it is Virat Kohli. So if you want to name and know the name of the person, what you can do is you can drag the name and you can add a tooltip. So now while you click over it, you can see the name of the person also in the tooltip. It says sports cricket, name Virat Kohli, and number of records is 1. So you can do a lot of creative things with Tableau. I like this, so I'll try to do something which the Microsoft Tracker have done. I'll add another Excel sheet which contains COVID data. I'll have added the data. I'll open a new sheet. Give me a moment. Okay. So I'm adding the COVID related data set from a public domain, which I received. So here you have information like the continent and the number of deaths, number of cases, etc. So tools like Tableau, business intelligence tool, have got the capacity of creating geographic maps automatically like this. So I just double clicked on the country and this tool automatically identified the country. So this is something similar to the graph you have seen earlier from Microsoft. Even though they are using a different tool, both of them have got the same capability. So this is what you have seen earlier in the Corona Tracker by Microsoft. They are also having a different, they're using a different tool called Power BI, but their chart is also showing a similar kind of statistics. Tableau also automatically gives you statistics like that. You can create it. You can do a lot of creative stuff over this with colors and sizes and etc. I'll not go into the details. You can explore it later. But I'll just show how the number of cases is represented. So our point of interest is date. I've dragged and dropped date. Selected the exact date, and I've dragged and dropped the cases. So it immediately created a graph for me, a line graph. But one problem is it contains all the countries in the world. All the countries in the world. Instead, I just want India. In such a case, I will drag country into filters and I will select India out of it. I'll check India. Now get data only for India. So the last reported case is of, so this data is still 9th of September, and on 9th of September, there were 97,570 cases reported in India. These are cases reported. And if I also want to see number of death reported in India during this time period, I will drag that measure and add it to the graph. It will automatically create the number of deaths. If you want to see it in the single graph, you'll drag and drop. It will also give you an option to see both of them in a single graph. So here you see number of deaths in orange color. The legend shows that number of deaths in orange color and the number of cases in blue color. This is how you use visualization as a tool for exploration. So you are finding new stories out of it. So here you see the number of cases are exploding in a huge way, but the number of death This is the number of death. So this is, just one confusion. It's the number of death. There was a huge spike in between on 17th of June, but it is also increasing, but not as heavily as your number of cases. This is how you work with a tool like Tableau. I suggest you go through this tool. This is freely available. Like I said, it is drag and drop. No much technical knowledge is required, but it will help you to explore your data better. So you can play around with all these fields. You can drag and drop and see how things are panning out. Instead of playing around with an Excel, which might be slightly difficult for you, you can utilize something like this. But the primary thing, most important thing you have to keep in mind is you have to clean your data before you load it to a platform like this. There is a fundamental principle in data analysis. They say it is garbage in, garbage out. So if the data going in is garbage, the result count coming out of it, the visualization coming out of it will also be garbage. So you'll have to clean it up before you load it into a platform like this. By cleaning up, I mean you have to correct the missing data, you have to correct the outliers, or you have to remove inconsistencies, the issues I talked about earlier. Once you clean it up, it is ready to be loaded to this platform, and you can start playing around with the data and see. So this is also something you can publish online. So once you save it, it is published online and they will generate a link for you. You can share that link with people, and that link will publish dashboards like this, which are interactive. So your users can go through it. So they can click on things. They can select drop downs, and they can interact with your data, interact with your story. But in free version, there are limits. You can share it only with 5 people. But in enterprise or paid versions used by corporates, you can share it with the entire public, or you can embed it in your personal blog so that you can, they can all view. So I hope this thing which I want to explain with Tableau is understood. And if you have any questions, I can take it.
Yes, sir, it is.
It's fine, right?
Okay.
It's almost 12:30. I have to rush.
So you mean to say that this Tableau is a cloud-based software and not an offline?
It is. Look, the Tableau public is installed on your computer, but the data you save goes to your Tableau public cloud.
Okay.
Okay, so you're publishing it online right away.
Okay.
And they provide it.
Similar to the Google applications.
Similar to the Google applications, yeah. Similar to applications like Google Sheet or Google Present, Google Word and all.
Sir, okay, then we can access it from another place also if we want, if we could log in, right?
Yeah. So it's based on your Tableau login. You can access it from any device, but you can access your presentation only. The software is installed in your computer. So if you want to work around and create new visualizations, it will not be available.
Okay. It has to be installed, but it will be there in the server.
Yeah. So whatever work you have created, whatever dashboard you have created will be published online, and it will be available in cloud. So you can access that link anytime and see your work. But your work table is available only in your desktop, in your local system.
It's fine. But it seems very useful, very handy, easy to operate.
Noble, I suppose. And Noble, your voice is not audible.
Sir, it appears to be more easy to use.
Yeah, it's very easy to use. You are all visual people. You all work with data in a visual way, okay? And some of you are scared because you don't want to get into statistics, mathematics, and engineering. And you are purely art people, and you're purely, creative people. So it might be easier for you guys to use a tool like this rather than using Excel or Notepad. That's my point. But again, But again, the important thing, you always ensure the data is clean enough before you start visualizing things. You have to make basic corrections in data, avoid missing data points and all.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So if there are no other questions, I'll quickly show another tool called Flourish.
Okay.
That two visualizations I have shown in the beginning. And now we can take questions dedicatedly.
Sure. Okay, please.
I hope it
Please
is
follow.
fine.
It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So what I was talking about is creating a chart, something similar to this. This is mostly election data, and visualizations made its entry into the common public through visual media during election time. So during election time, all these news channels have their visualizations of comparing how many seats is won by whom, number of votes comparison, and things like that. This is one thing I really liked, which showed the percentage of contribution by each party into the parliament. Okay, so this is created. This can be easily created by a free tool called Flourish. So they provide this is free access like Tableau. This is, instead of installing in your system, this is a web application. You can open it through your browser and you can start working with it. And they have got tons and tons of visualizations, really creative ones. They have heard a huge list of templates, and every template works in a similar way. I'll show two examples. If you learn them or you understand them, you can create any visualizations listed here. Okay. So I'll select two of them. One is a parliament chart, and second is bar chart race, which I've shown earlier. So this is bar chart race, which will show a progress of some things or time. Okay. So I selected it from the generic list. They have a template list in Flourish. Once you log into Flourish, they have a template list. I have gone to the template list and selected Parliament chart. When I get a sample like this, they show a sample. And I select the option, create the same visualization. Create visualization. Okay. It is loading. Okay. Yeah. Hope it is visible now.
Yes, it is.
Now it have, yeah. Thank you. It have got two tabs. Okay, on the top, you see there's a preview tab and there's a data tab. Now you know that any visualization have an underlying data. We are going to work on that data. I go to the data tab, and this simple 4 columns of data is running this beautiful visualization. They are giving you option to edit it on screen or upload a data. Upload a data in Excel file. What I will do is, I know party-wise split of NDA and UPA in 2019 elections. So NDA won 353, UPA 191, and others 198. I'll just go there. I'll type NDA, then I'll type UPA, then I'll type others. I'll delete all others. Okay, so we are interested in years 2019. I'll delete all others. Here also I'll delete all others. The data I said is 353, 91, and 98. Now we had an election in 2014. Select 2014. I don't want 2018. I select 2014. In 2014, it was 336, 60, and 146. 60 and 146. Now we are ready with the data. Now you can see a preview here already. I've just edited the data. You see a preview already. I go to my preview view. Okay, it's not completely ready if you ask me. I can switch between desktop view, tab view, and mobile view. On the top, there are simple icons which help you to switch between PC, tab, and mobile. I switch to tab view for better view. Okay, so I hover my mouse over. NDA have 1353, UPA have 191, and others have 198. Okay, the slight problems though. Here there is a lot of gap, so the number of seat is not correct. Number of seat is given as 650, while in Indian Parliament the number of seat is 542. I'll change this 650 to 542. Now we have a complete list. Another problem we have is these colors are slightly switched. Normally we identify NDA with orange or saffron color. So on the right side, you have panes like this where you can select and change things in colors. You go to this tooltip, will show how to change colors. You can simply type the name of your parties, give a colon, and give a color. Okay, so it's as simple as that. Here, the name of my parties are NDA, UPA, and others. So I give NDA a colon, and I'll type orange. Then I'll type UPA, I'll type a colon, and I'll give blue. Also, I have others, I'll type brown. So now we have got a clean chart containing the same number of seats as Indian Lok Sabha. This is our data for 2019, NDA 1353, UPA 191, and others 198. Now you can switch to 2014. It changes in an animated way. In 2014, it was 336 for NDA, 60 for UPA, and 146 for others. So there are slight problems or modifications you can work though. Our title is not given. You can see seat share in Lok Sabha. Also, you can add legends. It's always important to add legends. I enabled my legends. So the legends have shown up. NDA in orange, UP in blue, and others in brown. I think we just created a beautiful animation in under 5 minutes. They give you option to export it publicly. You can download it as an HTML, download it as an image, or publish and share. So they'll give you an embedding URL. That URL can be embedded into your website or personal blog or news blog channel website, anything where it will change, it will behave in the same way. If you go to Wikipedia and search 2014 elections, you'll see the similar visualization there. Okay. I hope this is clear to all of you.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay. And the second chart we talked about, the principles remain the same, just the chart is different. I've gone to the template list, selected the same chart. I choose to create this visualization. It is loading. Okay. Still loading. Okay, here you have the preview. I say preview is for the audience, data is for us. You go to the data pane, and this is how your data look like. Earlier case, it was slightly easy. Your data was simple, small, easy to manage. I could have typed it, but this is something huge. This is big. I cannot sit and type all this data. So I will utilize this upload data option given here, where you can upload the data in an Excel sheet. So let me see, I have created this. Go to my data and I forward same format as suggested by the website. So you go to the website, you see the columns here. You have a country name column or data column, then you have region or whatever. Okay, so your data, then you have a whole set of data for your dates or years. In my data set, I'm not going to use image URL. I will avoid that. My data looks something like this. I have list of countries and the dates and the number of cases in each country. So I'm going to load this data and see how it pans out. Okay, use the upload data option. Select my data set. Import it publicly. Now I have to select the rows and columns. Down below, you can already see that our preview have started, but I have to correct the correct labels. Okay. Now this is my preview. I'll go to my preview. There are some issues though. It is going, the dates are coming up, the countries are showing up. They're all fine. Fine. Some changes I have to make here. I'll go back to my data. My label is correct. My label is column A. Label is the name of the country. Now, they are asking for image. I'm not giving any image anywhere. By default, this has column C, but in my column C, there is no image. So I will avoid that. I'll delete that option. There are nothing reserved for images. Then for categories, they have mentioned column as B. My column B, I don't have any category. Instead, I have it in column A itself. So I'll edit and give us A. Also, their values is given as column B to ZZ. Instead, my values are starting at B. Instead of B, my values are starting at B. I give my values as B. Click OK. I scroll down. I think we are almost set. We'll go to the preview, and here it starts. Change the view to mobile view. This is mobile view. This is how a user will see it in their mobile. So things are coming up. You see the name of countries on the left side, number of cases improving. United States was in the top for some time. Then Brazil came up, then India came up, and later India is leading the list now. We have the most number of infections per day. Okay. And we have reached the data till August, September, and end of it. This again, even though it looks very, very highly complicated animation, there are tools freely available in internet which helps you to create things like this, like in 5-10 minutes. Once you start familiarizing with this tool and you have clean data, you can prepare visualizations like this under 5-10 minutes. I think I've done with my workshop. I'll add a couple of points before stopping, which are some important things you have to keep in mind while doing something, something in visualization. You have to start with the correct formatting, which I already suggested. You have to correct with the correct format as well. I suggest you start working with these formats, okay? XLS, X, XLSS. These two are default formats for Excel sheet. You can start working with them. Then you have a comma separated value, CSV. You can work with TXT and work with ODS, but I don't suggest you work with PDFs. So I have seen journalists are more comfortable with PDF, but I don't suggest it. The reason is the PDF's formatting is little tricky. You cannot do any analysis on it. So what you normally do is you convert it into Word and you convert it into Excel. Then the whole thing goes for a toss. Your formatting is all jumbled up and you have to do a lot of work to clean it up. So if you have an option, you always go with CSV, TXT, or Excel format. XLSS and XLSX are both Excel formats. You can use any one of these. Then ensure proper visibility in your visualization. I don't have to teach you about using colors properly. So you don't use a lighter font with a lighter background, or you don't use a dark color with a darker background. So always think about contrast and use colors which are easy to read. Don't use bright yellows, bright oranges, or bright greens, which are really uncomfortable to the eyes. And don't use red too much because red is a symbol of alarm, alert. You don't normally use red unless it is really required. You avoid simple mistakes like that. You avoid data manipulation, which I already talked about. As journalists, you always have to use the data from your original source. You don't manipulate it. And always cite your sources. So in your visualization, you cite down towards the bottom that you got the data from Forbes, or you got the data from the government website of income tax department or somewhere. You cite your sources. These are some basic things you have to keep in mind while you do visualization. And one more thing, which is very rudimentary but important. Don't add visualization to your story just for the sake of it. If it is not interesting, don't show it at all. Here, this is one visualization which shows the PF rate, the Provident Fund interest rate over 17 years. You can see over the last 17 years, the interest rate haven't changed much. It's like almost a straight line. There's no drastic things happening here and there. This is something you can explain in single line. So you don't have to consume all your real estate in your paper or in your website to show something like this. If it is not interesting, if it is not giving any drastic information, don't show it at all. These were the things I wanted to discuss. I've been rushing to give you a lot of information within this small time. So I would like to take any questions if you have any doubts, any clarifications.
Sir, sir, I was also meanwhile trying that election type one in my computer itself. So
Yeah.
so I in that visualization, that bar type you showed, no? So how will it show the entire total one? Is there any like suppose they are having 500 votes, I splitted the votes, but the total votes or such kind of graphical thing cannot be done with that, right? That
you mean this one, right?
ballot
The
type,
election
ballot
data
type.
set. This one.
The other this one also I have started doing. So actually I in that only I want in this I want to include 7 parties and 4 rounds. So
okay, so you go to your data. Right now we have only 3 parties, right?
Yeah, in that I gave 7 parties, and instead of this 2009 I gave 2019 I gave round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4.
Okay.
So I'm just giving data, but in the last like in Excel we do the total summation, like that things is not possible, like that operations.
No, that total is not coming because you have to understand this. The fundamental of this visualization, its purpose is to show the seat division in a parliament. So your parliament have got limited number of seats, and you are showing the share of each party. You go through the templates, you may find one template suitable to your situation as well. So this particular template may not be suitable in your situation. Just go through it as I've shown. There is a huge list of things. Out of that, there will be one visualization which will suit your demand as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good question, anyway.
Yeah, thank you, sir. It was greatly helpful.
Thank you.
Because we are getting the results in very quickly.
Yeah. That is the beauty of it.
Yeah, well presented. It is easily appealing to others.
Correct. You're right.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Hello, all participants. If you have any other queries, please post it in the chat box, or you can unmute your mics yourself and ask your questions. Meanwhile, thank you, Mr. Mithun, for a wonderful presentation. The presentation was very clear and up to date. And these days, definitely we need to visualize everything because we are not very friendly with reading. We just want to see everything at a glance and understand.
You're right.
So,
You're right.
Right? So
Visualization is the key.
yes, it's a key for all types of communication.
Correct.
Right? So definitely it's a very helpful presentation. Meanwhile, all the participants, if you have any questions, please post it in the chat box, or you can unmute your mics and ask yourself. And the feedback link is available in the chat box. Please make sure that you submit the feedback link.
Alvin sir, may I ask one doubt?
Yes, please, Noble.
Yeah, sir. So when we take the output, which is the best, like in order to show this kind of animation itself? So which is the best, like any GIF format, or which format is the best to take the export it?
Yeah, look, Noble, that is also an interesting question. It's always about what goes in, what format goes in, and what format comes out. Okay, depending on your situation. Okay, the example which I gave earlier was Wikipedia. In Wikipedia, they have given a static image. In such cases, you go with PNG or JPEG. But if you are embedding it into a website, you get the website embedding link from here. You ask your blog developer, or if you're developing your blog yourself, you embed that into your blog. So you will get the animation properly. In that case, it will be mostly a link. Your Flourish gives you options to either present it as an HTML or download it as an image. If you are going to use it in a static story, or if you're using for print media, download it in PNG or JPEG. Otherwise, you get the link and embed it in your website. So it will
only
be
that
completely
embedding
interactive.
option is only there. Okay. I thought like any small MP4 or like animation type, whether we can be exported. No.
Look, another thing I want to add here, I am using the publicly available version.
Pardon?
The licensed version, they may come up with more formats, more suitable formats. Okay, so I'm talking the case of free version. You can also explore the capacities of licensed version. They may have that option.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. And one more thing I want to add here is a couple of references which you can see. These are not books. These are some general principles. So these two are widely used principles known as the fundamentals of visualization. You can go Google them. These would be simple 8 or 9 steps, which anybody can go through within 5-10 minutes. There are a lot of videos available based on this. There's Edward Tufte's principles of data visualization and Gestalt's principles of Gestalt psychology. These are fundamental things about how humans react to visualizations, how you can use size, shape, color, patterns to make your visualizations more attractive. You just take a screenshot or so, or just write it down. You refer these two things in your future journey. And this is my contact information. If anyone of you want to reach out to me to clarify doubts or get more suggestions, can either connect with me in LinkedIn. My name is Mithun Anthony, or you can drop me a mail. My mail ID is mithun.anthony@outlook.com. I hope everything is clear, and that's all from my end for the day.
Thank you, Mithun, for the wonderful sessions. And you have also clarified the doubts very clearly, and the presentation as well, very useful as well as very clear. So thank you so much, Mithun. And we also thank all the participants who have spent their time and energy in listening to our webinars. So thank you so much. On behalf of St. Joseph's College of Communication, I thank each and every participant who spent time with us. Thank you so much. I also thank the management of the college, our Executive Director, Reverend Father Anthony Ethekak, our Principal Reverend Dr. Joseph Faragil, our Academic Director, Father Nathan, who was instrumental in organizing this webinar. Thank you, one and everyone. Thank you all.
Thank you. And thank you for inviting me and all
you.
the faculty and participants.
Thank you, sir.